So I thought I had a pretty good handle on my money. Like, I had this rough picture in my head. Rent, groceries, eating out little, the usual bills. Nothing crazy. I wasn't stressed about it. Honestly, I wasn't even thinking about it that much. And then I actually tracked every single dollar I spent for 30 days. Not an estimate, not a rough budget. I scribbled on a napkin every single dollar. And what I found, it genuinely shocked me. Not because I was spending some wild, out-of-control amount, but because the picture I had in my head and the picture the data showed me, they were separated by nearly $1,000. In 1 month. That gap, that almost $1,000 I thought I had, that was just quietly disappearing every single month. That's what I want to talk about today, because I really don't think this is just my problem. I think most people walking around right now have that same gap. And I'm going to show you exactly what I found. Here's what we're covering. First, why almost nobody actually knows what they spend. I don't mean a vague feeling. There's real research on this, and honestly, the numbers are kind of embarrassing. Then I'll walk you through the 30-day experiment, how I set it up, the categories I tracked, and the full breakdown of what I actually spent. Then I'm going to take you through the 5 specific findings that shocked me the most. And I'm going to be completely specific about the numbers, no vague stuff. Then comes the part that permanently changed the way I think about money. Because when you actually run the compounding math on what unconscious spending costs you over 20 or 30 years, you will never look at a takeout order the same way again. I promise you that. And finally, the 3 things I changed immediately after the experiment and what actually happened. Okay, so let's start with the research. Because I want you to understand, what happened to me is not a personal failure. It's a documented, predictable, totally normal human thing. And once you understand why it happens, you can actually fix it. A study published in the Journal of Consumer Research found that people underestimate their monthly spending by an average of 20 to 40%. Just sit with that for a second. The average person, when asked to guess what they spend in a month, gives a number that could be 40% below what they're actually spending. That's not a rounding error. That's a completely different financial reality. And the reason this happens? It's something behavioral economists call mental accounting. It's a concept developed by Nobel Prize-winning economist Richard Thaler. The idea is that our brains don't track money the way a spreadsheet would, linearly, accurately. Instead, we sort money into mental buckets. Big purchases, rent, car payments, they feel heavy, memorable. But small purchases? A $7 coffee, a $12 delivery fee, a $3 app upgrade. They barely register. They feel inconsequential in the moment, but they add up every month, and your brain just doesn't keep score. There's also something called the transaction frequency effect. The more often you make a purchase, the more you underestimate the total, because each individual transaction feels small even as the total keeps climbing. You never feel like you spent a lot on food. You just got lunch, and then dinner, and then a snack, and then groceries twice. But you're never adding that up in real time. That's the core problem here. We're making financial decisions based on a mental model of our spending that is, on average, 20 to 40% wrong. And when you're operating on bad data, every other financial decision you make is built on a broken foundation. So I decided to fix the data problem. The rules were simple. Every dollar that left my account or my wallet for 30 consecutive days got logged. Immediately. Not at the end of the day from memory. The moment I spent it. I used a basic expense tracking app. Nothing fancy. Honestly, you could do this with a notes app or even a spreadsheet. And I set up 8 categories. Those were housing, so rent and utilities, groceries, restaurants and takeout, subscriptions, transportation, entertainment, personal care and shopping, and a catch-all category for impulse buys and miscellaneous stuff. And before the experiment even started, I wrote down what I genuinely believed I spent in each one. My mental model on paper so I could compare it to reality at the end. Here's the full 30-day breakdown. Estimated versus actual. Housing. I estimated $1,200, spent exactly $1,200. That one was easy. It's a fixed number. Groceries. I estimated $250. I actually spent $418. That's $168 $1 more than I thought. Restaurants and takeout, I estimated $150. Actual, $347. Nearly $200 more. Subscriptions, I said $40. Actual was $127. $87 in subscriptions I had basically forgotten existed. Transportation, estimated $120. Spent $189. Entertainment, $60 estimated, $143 actual. Personal care and shopping, I put down $80. Spent $226. That one stings. Impulse and miscellaneous, I said $50. Actual was $218. Yeah, total, I estimated $1,950 for the month. I actually spent $2,868. A difference of $918. Nearly $1,000. Every single month. That I thought I had. That I was spending without even realizing it. Now let me walk you through the 5 specific things I found. Because the total number is one thing, but the details? That's where the real story is. Finding number 1. Food spending was almost exactly double what I thought. I estimated I was spending about $400 a month combined on groceries and restaurants. The actual number was $765. Groceries alone came in at $418. Restaurants and takeout came in at $347. And here's what happened. I wasn't tracking the delivery fees. I wasn't counting the tips. I wasn't thinking about the extra stuff I grabbed at the grocery store without a list. Each of those trips felt totally normal. But when you look at 31 days of data in a row, the pattern becomes unmistakable. I was eating out roughly 11 times per month. Not 5 or 6 like I thought. Finding number 2. Subscriptions I had completely forgotten about. I estimated $40 a month. Actual was $127. The $40 I remembered covered my streaming service and my music app. But when I listed everything that auto-charged during the month, I found a fitness app one hadn't opened in 4 months, still billing at $14.99. A cloud storage upgrade I'd forgotten I switched to, $9.99. A premium version of a productivity tool, $12.99. A news site annual subscription that had renewed and was billing monthly at $8.99. And 2 other apps I barely even recognized. That's almost $47 a month in subscriptions that were completely invisible to me. And look, according to a 2024 survey by C+ or Research, the average American spends $91 a month on subscriptions and underestimates that total by nearly 40%. I was perfectly average, which didn't make me feel better. Finding number 3, small purchases added up to a genuinely alarming number. My estimate for the miscellaneous category was $50. Actual total was $218. And this category was stuff like $4 for a water bottle at the gym, $9 for a phone case I didn't need, $6 at a parking meter, $11 for a birthday card I'd forgotten about at the last minute. None of these felt like spending. They felt like life. Just stuff that happens. But $218 is $218. And it happened every single month without me noticing. Finding number 4. And this one surprised me the most. My spending had a clear emotional pattern I had never seen before. When I went through the data day by day, I noticed something I wasn't expecting. My highest spending days clustered around 2 points in the week. Mondays, which I think was stress spending, some kind of weekend hangover, and Fridays, which was reward spending for getting through the week. Tuesday through Thursday, my spending dropped by nearly 60% compared to those 2 days. And when I started thinking about it, I could trace almost every large discretionary purchase back to being stressed or tired or wanting to celebrate something. I wasn't spending based on need. I was spending based on emotion. And I had zero awareness of that pattern until the data showed it to me. Finding number 5, personal care and shopping was 3 times my estimate. I put down $80. The actual was $226. A new pair of shoes I convinced myself I needed. A skincare product I saw in an ad. A piece of clothing that was on sale, so it felt smart to buy it. None of it was planned. All of it felt completely justified in the moment. Combined, it was $146 more than I thought I was spending. And honestly, this one hurt the most to admit because all of it was optional. Now, here's the part that changed my relationship with money permanently. Because the $918 monthly gap isn't just a budgeting problem. When you run the compounding math on it, it becomes a wealth problem. Let me be specific. If I took that $918 per month and invested it instead of spending it unconsciously, here's what the numbers look like at an 8% average annual return, which is the conservative long-term historical average of the U.S. stock market. After 10 years, that $918 a month becomes roughly $168,000. You personally put in $110,000. Compounding added $58,000 on top of that. After 20 years, that same $918 a month becomes approximately $540,000. You contributed $220,000. Compounding generated over $320,000 that you never had earned. After 30 years, it crosses $1.27 million. Your actual contributions total $330,000. Compounding created over $940,000. Out of nothing but time and consistency. Let me say that differently. The gap between what I thought I was spending and what I was actually spending was, over 30 years, at a completely normal market return. The difference between where I was and becoming a millionaire. Not from earning more, not from taking risk, just from knowing where my money was actually going. And even if you take a smaller slice of that gap, say you can only redirect $300 a month because the rest genuinely needed to be spent, that $300 a month at 8% over 30 years is still $408,000, of which you personally contributed $108,000. Compounding generated the other $300,000. This is why I keep saying, the most dangerous financial leak isn't the one that feels big. It's the one that feels small. The $9 subscription, the $14 impulse buy, the $22 extra in your food budget you never tracked. Individually, invisible. Cumulatively, compounded over decades. The difference between financial independence and wondering where your income went. And if you want to learn how to actually put that money to work once you find it, join my free community in the link below. That's where I share everything about how to grow this money, not just save it. Okay, so after seeing the data, I made 3 specific changes. Not a complete lifestyle overhaul. Not some dramatic budget cut I wouldn't actually stick to. 3 targeted, sustainable changes. And I want to tell you what happened. Change number 1, the weekly money check-in. Every Sunday evening, I spend 10 minutes going through the previous week's spending. Not judging it, just reviewing it. I look at what I actually spent, compare it to what I intended to spend, and flag anything that surprised me. That's it. The simple act of looking at the data every 7 days, instead of never, means patterns can't hide from me for a full month anymore. The research on this is consistent. People who review their spending weekly spend measurably less than people who don't. Not because they white-knuckle it, but because awareness changes behavior automatically. Within the first month of doing this, my miscellaneous and impulse spending dropped from $218 to $91. Without me actively trying to cut it, I just stopped making the unconscious purchases because I knew I'd see them on Sunday. Change number 2, the 48-hour rule for anything non-essential over $30. Before I buy anything that isn't food, transportation, or a known regular expense, I wait 48 hours. I write the item down. If I still want it after 48 hours, I buy it. If I forget about it, it's gone. The number of things I've forgotten about in 48 hours is genuinely humbling. About 60% of the purchases I logged in that impulse category during my experiment stopped entirely by this rule. They were emotional decisions made in the moment. Given 48 hours and no extra stimulation, I just stopped wanting them. Change number 3, the subscription audit. I went through every recurring charge in my bank statement and made 3 columns. Keep, cancel, review. Anything I hadn't used in the past 30 days went into the cancel or review column. First month, I canceled $63.96 in monthly subscriptions entirely. That's $767 a year. From things I had forgotten I was even paying for. Automated once. Freed up every month after. The combined result of these 3 changes In the first full month after the experiment, my total spending dropped from $2,868 to $2,241, a difference of $627 in a single month, without dramatically changing how I lived, without eating sad meals, without giving up anything I actually valued. I just stopped spending money on things my future self didn't care about. So here are the 3 things I want you to take from this. First, the gap between what you think you spend and what you actually spend is almost certainly real. Research says it averages 20 to 40%. The only way to find out is to track it, every dollar, for at least 30 days. You can't fix a leak you can't see. Second, the real cost of unconscious spending isn't monthly. It's generational. Every dollar that leaks out of your budget is a dollar that doesn't compound. At $300 to $900 a month in invisible spending, the 30-year compounding cost isn't a rounding error. It's the difference between building genuine wealth and wondering where all your income went. Third, the fix doesn't require a dramatic lifestyle change. A weekly 10-minute review, a 48-hour rule, a subscription audit, 3 low-friction habits that compound over time, just like money does. Small, consistent actions, repeated over years, are how every meaningful financial outcome gets built. The same principle that makes investing powerful, it applies to spending behavior too. Start now. Stay consistent. Let time do the work. If this video made you want to go check your own numbers right now, good. That discomfort is valuable information. Drop a comment below and tell me, what spending category do you think you're most wrong about? I read every comment, and I plan future videos based on what you all are actually dealing with. And if you want to see the next step, what to actually do with the money once you find it, which account it goes into, how it gets invested, how to make it compound, subscribe, and watch the video right here. That's exactly where we go next. The combined result of these 3 changes, in the first full month after the experiment, my total spending dropped from $2,868 to $2,241, a difference of $627 in a single month, without dramatically changing how I lived, without eating sad meals, without giving up anything I actually valued. I just stopped spending money on things my future self didn't care about. So here are the 3 things I want you to take from this. First, the gap between what you think you spend and what you actually spend is almost certainly real. Research says it averages 20 to 40%. The only way to find out is to track it, every dollar, for at least 30 days. You can't fix a leak you can't see. Second, the real cost of unconscious spending isn't monthly. It's generational. Every dollar that leaks out of your budget is a dollar that doesn't compound. At $300 to $900 a month in invisible spending, the 30-year compounding cost isn't a rounding error. It's the difference between building genuine wealth and wondering where all your income went. Third, the fix doesn't require a dramatic lifestyle change. A weekly 10-minute review, a 48-hour rule, a subscription audit, 3 low-friction habits that compound over time, just like money does. Small, consistent actions, repeated over years, are how every meaningful financial outcome gets built. The same principle that makes investing powerful, it applies to spending behavior too. Start now. Stay consistent. Let time do the work. If this video made you want to go check your own numbers right now, good. That discomfort is valuable information. Drop a comment below and tell me, what spending category do you think you're most wrong about? I read every comment, and I plan future videos based on what you all are actually dealing with. And if you want to see the next step, what to actually do with the money once you find it, which account it goes into, how it gets invested, how to make it compound, subscribe, and watch the video right here. That's exactly where we go next.